Hi guys, and welcome to Bindcam Draws. Today I want to talk about extrapolation. I don't know if I'm saying that right at all, but I do know that it's a very interesting topic because it has to do with how you put human emotions in animals and objects. And this is something that I have been doing for as long as I can remember. I actually think that the reason I started drawing was because I thought that it was so amazing how they, in Ghibli movies and in Disney movies, made animals become alive with human emotions. And not only animals, but also objects. Like if you guys, for example, remember Beauty and the Beast, where you have Chip and Mrs. Potts, which are basically a cup and a teapot, and they are filled with emotion, filled with personality and charisma. And another example that comes to mind as well is if you guys have seen Howl's Moving Castle with Calcifer, the fire. And obviously, this is not an object, it's not an animal, it's an element. And Calcifer is nothing but eyes and a mouth, and then still there is a dynamic to the way that they animated his fire, his body language. And he just M's of personality. And I think this is a really interesting thing to be able to do. So, what I was doing the other day, I was taking a course by, I think his name is Alex Vu on Schoolism, and he was talking about body gestures and poses and everything. And he actually did a little talk about extrapolation. And I thought, oh my god, that is what I want to talk about in my next video. I want to make a video about this. So what my thinking is that I am going to pick some of these poses and I'm going to translate them from a human form into an animal form. So let's pick some of these. Okay, so these are the poses that we want to work with, and obviously they're all in human form. Now I am going to take one of my favorite sketching brushes. And let's start out with this one. Okay. Now, when I look at this posture right here, what is the idea of it? What is the emotion that we're trying to translate into something else here? Well, you could imagine that this person is lying here and maybe daydreaming about something. So I want to convey that into an animal. And I think I am going to draw something very familiar and therefore also maybe a little easier. So I think I'm gonna try and translate this into a dog. Now there are two directions you can go when you go about this. In one direction, you try to maybe kind of obey the physical laws of the animal, which means that you still give the animal pause. Now, when drawing this, I just want to give examples of how you can quickly translate this. So this is not like a beauty competition of drawing something super, super pretty. But even though I made a dog that would never sit like this, I still obey some of the basic laws of anatomy here. I'm giving it pause because a dog has paws. And the shape of the body is still adheres to the rules of how the dog looks. I could go in and anthropomorphize the animal a bit more. And anthropomorphism is kind of the same as extrapolation, but Anthropomorphism is a bit more directed towards the attribution of human traits onto animals, whereas extrapolation is more about creating unknown sizes from known sizes. It's kind of the same, but extrapolation is a bit broader. But you can take this anthropomorphism to an even more intense level. And you can do that by merging these two. So that would probably look a little bit like this. So what we did here is we actually basically took the human body and we only changed a little things around in terms of making this appear as if it actually is a dog. And if you guys remember the old Disney movie called Robin Hood, did something kind of like this. Maybe it would be more like a merge of these two styles, but the hands that they drew in Robin Hood, they kind of look like human hands mixed up with like paws. So here we're just taking it one step further. We might still have like actual feet that, like if we have a foot here, we will still have this kind of bone maybe, or maybe we will have something that looks more like a human knee, but we will have a foot like this. So you see, it's all about mixing it up. Sorry, this is kind of annoying, it's a bit askew. Okay, but onwards to the next pose. Let's see what we can do with this one. Let's put it down here. Make another layer. Okay, so the emotion in this one, I would say, is kind of despair, sadness. Maybe a person is having some sort of breakdown, maybe heartache, which is relatable. So let's go with that and let's make it a little more difficult and let's maybe draw a bird. And birds are always a little bit difficult to draw because they have wings, and like how do you convey that? You can sort of see the beak poking out right there. You have the feet, and then the tail here. Let's get some of those characteristics, patterns of a bird. Maybe you can even make teardrops falling out of its face like that. So you see, this is something that it's very different from the original pose here. And I would say that this drawing of this bird is a bit closer to this version over here. We're taking some of the anatomy of the bird and then we're trying to translate the emotion of the human body over into the bird. Okay, let's find another one. This right here. This one I really like. I think it got great potential. Let's put it over here. Let's just move these so we can have more space. I really don't want to delete anything because maybe you would want to pause the video and use some of it. So again, I think we have an emotion that is a bit maybe sad, or it could also be shy. It's very important that you decide on this, what kind of emotion you want, because it is something that you incorporate into your next drawing. Let's say that we draw a rabbit for this, and let's say that we want to incorporate more of the human body into this. So we take it a step away from the bird, where we use the anatomy of only that. So let's try and draw a bunny. You're gonna lift up the paw right there. Gonna have the big ears. I'm gonna do something else with the feet because bunnies tend to have like quite big feet. I'm gonna turn them this way instead. So here we have all of the characteristics of the bunny. We have the big ears, we have the fluffy tail. Sometimes you get a long way if you just remember to put those character traits in. Okay, next one. Here we have like a whole folded out figure. And this character is sort of like grabbing his head in a way, maybe thinking about something. Or maybe the person is doing a phone call. Let's go with that. That could be quite funny. Okay, let's pick a crocodile. A crocodile holding a phone. That can only be good, right? So let's make it like that. It's gonna be one of those phones that you can fold out. I am old enough to remember those actually. Now, because it's a crocodile, I think we kind of want that face sideways. Because it's really important that we get this long snout. And also the teeth. And it sort of has like the hip out there. So we want to have that sort of like sway in it. I don't know if any of you guys have seen is it called the Princess Frog? Something like that. There's this really fat crocodile in it called Lewis. I think he's an awesome crocodile. He has this like really fat tail. So there we have it. A crocodile speaking on the phone. Okay, I'm just gonna move some of these so there's more space. Now this one is again, I think, a little bit shy. So let's try and take it to the next level. Sometimes it's easier to work with animals that have four limbs, two arms, two legs, just like a human. But what do you do if you have, for example, a fish? What you can do with at least the body is try to get the same dynamic into it. So we're gonna go with that. Now, what becomes really important when you're working with characters who doesn't really have the same body language possibilities as people is you try and work a lot with the face instead. So the eyes of this fish here becomes really important. But you're still conveying the same message of shyness. Now, if we stay in that category, this one over here, did I look at that? Yes. This one over here has kind of the same shy posture. And in this posture, there's a lot of curves as well. So let's go with a very sassy female character for this one. And I'm thinking maybe like a sassy tigress. We're gonna keep a lot of those female qualities from this one. Maybe you can even give her like a hint of a bosom right there. And now, of course, we remember that with a tiger, stripes are absolutely essential. And then another benefit of working with animals is that you can really create like a lot of dynamic with, for example, a tail. And you can take that tail in any direction. It could also be actually I think this might be a better pose for it. You see, I changed the ears there because they were looking a bit too like mouse kind of like. And I don't really know if she's more cat or tigress, but we're definitely in the feline category right here. Okay, moving along. So here we have a character that is a bit like apprehensive in a way, maybe thinking about something. Now, I want to challenge myself a little bit again with an animal that doesn't have that much body language. And I think it cannot be more difficult than turning this character right here into a snake. But we still have the tail of the snake to convey something with. So if we try to sort of take that tail actually we want more body. We want more body than what I did right there. Let's see if we can actually go with what did I just get myself into? So yeah, if we take the tail of the snake like this, and we go like that, we can sort of give the same feeling of it using the tail as a hand in a way. And again, because we don't have that much body language, we again really want to use the face. So the eyebrows raised like this, he's kind of like, huh? Okay, so we have this human position of someone pointing. So here we have maybe kind of like a person of authority. And what you can also play around with when you're drawing animals with human shapes, you can play around with stereotypes. So if we want to convey something that feels like you have authority, and it's not just in the body posture and gesture, but also just through the kind of stereotypical stigma you put on an animal, you could say that an animal with a lot of authority could be maybe like an eagle. So if we really puff up like the chest here, so maybe you can kind of see what I mean with sometimes you can also pick a character to draw from the status and the symbolism that you put into the drawing. You can do that in a way where you don't even use the body language that much. Sometimes it can just be the animal in itself. So if we take this same posture and we wanted to say, for example, draw let's make sure we have enough room for this one. Make it a bit smaller. Put it over here. Let's say you wanted to draw a stag that has not the same body language, but just the same presence in a way. And because this character sort of draws attention to what's on the right, no matter what you do with your animal character, you just really want to make sure that whatever attention you're creating, it's just going in the same direction, which is that direction. So you can even keep a lot of the original anatomy and a lot of the biological rules of whatever animal you want to portray, but you still have to capture that emotion. So, lastly, we have a character blowing a kiss. Let's do something that is super cute, but still a bit ironic. So let's do a skunk. I always thought that skunks were so adorable, and yet it's also a creature that you would immediately think is something, but also something that is kind of disgusting. I don't really remember how big a skunk tail is, but I do remember it has that line. On its back. So that would convey that feeling pretty well, I think. So yeah, this is the way that you can take simple human poses and gestures and then turn them into animals. If you guys want to play around with this as well, I have my gesture sheet on my webpage, and you're very welcome to go to my webpage, which is in the description of this video, and then go to the section called Study and Process. You can just take a screenshot of it or copy paste it or whatever, and you can use some of these postures or gestures to try and morph them into an animal. All I ask you to do, if you do this and if you put it up on anywhere on the internet, please remember to write my name and where you got it from. But I don't have to remind you guys about that because we're all artists here and we all know the rules of copyright and everything. But you're very welcome to go there and then see what you can do with some of these poses. If you're interested in my brushes, as always, there is a link in the description, and for this whole tutorial sketching, I used my line detail. For these postures right here, I used my oval slim brush, which is also one of my favorite for sketching. Either way, you can go with whatever you like. If you like this video, give it a like, and if you like what I do on my channel, give a subscribe, and I hope to see you guys around. Thanks, bye!